My father-in-law and I both married into wealth. He and my mother-in-law were childhood sweethearts, and their bond was incredibly deep. But one day, my father-in-law, Arthur, grabbed my hand and sobbed. Daniel, your mother-in-law, she's got a younger man on the side, and they even have a child together. I've been kept in the dark for over a decade, made a complete fool of. A lump formed in my throat. Dad, actually, Sarah has someone too. She bought the guy an entire building. We held each other and wept. After a long while, Arthur sniffled. You can trust a woman about as much as you can trust a pig to fly. Daniel, I'm done with that woman. Dad, wherever you go, I'll go. I'm done with Sarah too. My father-in-law and I were in perfect agreement. We immediately started planning our escape. After considering all the options, faking our deaths seemed like the best way out. Arthur also came from a good family, but he'd been with my mother-in-law, Catherine, since they were kids. He married into the Walton family at 20 and dedicated himself to being a stay-at-home husband. He was quite naive, but he could definitely act the part. Daniel, this is all I have on hand. How do we get started? I looked at the portfolio Arthur handed me, and my eyes nearly popped out of my head. $200 million. Arthur truly was born under a lucky star. Compared to him, my own stash was pathetic, only $5 million. Still, it was more than enough for us to live on for 3 lifetimes. Dad, I have a plan. Arthur agreed to follow my lead, so I set things in motion. My mother-in-law's birthday was in 2 days, and we decided to hold the party on a yacht. For one, it was a fresh idea, and for two, it would be easy to disappear from. Time was short, so we outsourced all the arrangements. As for the catalyst for our deaths, it would naturally be that other man. If he had the nerve to accept an entire building from Sarah, he had to be ready to face the consequences. On the day of the party, Arthur was dressed in a Versace suit, his mature, composed face betraying nothing. My mother-in-law, Catherine Walton, stood beside him. Despite her age, she was impeccably maintained, drawing the gazes of many wealthy men. As guests mingled around them, she smiled and gave me a subtle nod from across the room. We both knew what was about to happen. Just then, my wife, Sarah, came to my side and looped her arm through mine. Daniel, you look so handsome tonight. The warmth of her hand sent a shiver through me, and I instinctively pulled away. You look beautiful tonight, too. You're attracting so many admirers. I feel like I've been shot down by their stares 1,000 times over. A number of handsome young men were indeed staring at Sarah. She leaned her cheek against my shoulder and murmured, "They can look, but they can't touch. I belong only to you." I fought back my disgust, met a certain gaze across the room, and said with a fake smile, "What a shame. Someone's going to be heartbroken. Sarah, that building is worth a fortune. It seems Mr. Vance holds a very special place in your heart." Sarah froze for a second, dropping her hand and saying sternly, "Don't get the wrong idea. It's all for business. I understand. Spending a fortune for love, right?" Sarah tried to explain further, but I just patted her arm. "I'm going to check on Dad. You enjoy yourself." Leo Vance walked over and cornered her, giving me the perfect chance to make my way to Arthur. When I reached my father-in-law, he pulled me out onto the deck. "Daniel, are you ready?" "Yeah, I'm ready. Don't worry." We exchanged a knowing smile. Just then, Leo Vance approached. "Daniel, Mr. Hayes, you're here too." Arthur's face hardened. "Mr. Vance, you sweet-talked my daughter into buying you a building, and now you have the nerve to show your face in front of me." The color drained from Leo's face. "Sir, I didn't. Sarah did it of her own free will." Smack. Arthur couldn't take it anymore and slapped him hard across the face. Leo was stunned. I sneered. "Calling her Sarah this and Sarah that all day? Who do you think you are? My father-in-law only has one daughter. You're no brother of hers. Leo, do your fans know you're this shameless behind the scenes?" Leo exploded with rage, clutching his cheek and lunging at me. Arthur and I grappled with him, and in the chaos, I stumbled backward, tumbling over the railing and into the water below. "Daniel!" Arthur screamed, lunging for me but grabbing nothing but air. Leo was horrified. "No, it wasn't me. If it wasn't you, then who was it? You give me back my son-in-law." Arthur grabbed him and started dragging him toward the railing. Terrified, Leo gave a violent shove. A heart-wrenching scream echoed from behind them. "Dad!" Everyone on the yacht panicked, searching frantically. Not far away, I was pulled from the water into a waiting boat. Arthur was beside me, his voice trembling in my ear. "Daniel, are you okay?" "I'm fine, Dad." Wrapped in a blanket, I watched the commotion on the distant yacht fade as we sped away. I finally let out a sigh of relief. Once we were safely ashore, we sat on a sofa watching the news. A massive headline made both of us frown. Hashtag tragedy at Walton Matriarch's birthday gala. Father and son-in-law both plunge overboard. Feared lost at sea hashtag on the screen. Leo Vance was pale-faced with bloodshot eyes, sobbing. "I didn't mean to. I didn't push them. They fell on their own." Leo was led away by the police. Sarah and Catherine both looked grim, especially Sarah, who appeared completely distraught. I watched and scoffed, then turned off the television. Arthur patted the back of my hand. Don't worry, they're just putting on a show. With us dead, they're probably thrilled. You just watch, Leo will be out in less than 2 days. And that's when Catherine's lover will finally show his face. I nodded. Just as Arthur predicted, Leo was released 3 days later. A swarm of reporters was there to greet him. Citing a lack of evidence, the police let him go, and Sarah herself was there to pick him up. The press mobbed them, a barrage of cameras and microphones in their faces. Ms. Walton, rumor has it that Leo Vance was arguing with the two men. Was that related to them going overboard? Does this mean you've forgiven him? What's the latest on the search? Has the Walton family called it off? Sarah's expression was dark. Please refer to the official statements. I watched the video and sneered. Damn you, Sarah. That man is clearly the apple of your eye. You can't even bring yourself to blame him. You're actually protecting him. Furious, I closed the video and decided to take Arthur on a trip around the world. Having money changes everything. For security, we opened an offshore account that no one could trace. We spent our days living it up, enjoying the high life without a care in the world. The only strange thing was, I had no idea what the Waltons were thinking. As long as no bodies were found, they refused to hold a funeral. This led to widespread speculation about whether the two Walton sons-in-law were actually dead. The tabloids were having a field day, but I remained unbothered. I spent my days sunbathing and watching the beautiful women on the beach. Life couldn't have been more relaxing. After about 6 months of this, I started to get a little bored. So, Arthur and I returned to the States and opened a boutique in Napa Valley. We spent our days checking in guests and collecting payments. It was a pleasant and satisfying life. The news stories about us in the papers and on TV slowly died down. I thought we could just live like this day by day, and Arthur felt the same. We'd even started calling each other father and son. Every now and then we'd hit the local bars and meet some beautiful women. Arthur was quite the connoisseur, and we'd sit there rating them together. But the good times came to a screeching halt. It was peak tourist season, and business at the inn was booming. I booked a huge reservation. A guest wanted the place for a whole month, paid an extra $20,000, and demanded that no other guests be allowed to check in. Of course, I agreed. When I learned it was just for 2 people, I promised them they'd have our exclusive private cottage. I even stocked the cottage with plenty of food and drinks. They sounded like a young couple on a romantic getaway. I was determined to give them the best service. Arthur was thrilled when he heard. Before our guests arrived, he dragged me out for a fantasy warrior photo shoot. Life is meant to be enjoyed, Daniel. Look at you, you look so handsome. In a few days, I'm going to set you up on a date. You're still young. You can't waste your life hung up on Sarah. His words warmed my heart. I knew he was right. Dad, I know. Sarah was just a mistake. If I meet the right person, I won't say no. Speaking of which, Dad, I've seen Mrs. Davis from next door coming over a lot. Are you thinking about a second chance at love? He looked away, a little embarrassed. Mrs. Davis is attractive enough, I suppose, but she's no Catherine. A jolt went through me. Dad, you can't possibly still be thinking about my ex-mother-in-law, can you? Please. He rolled his eyes in disgust. Ever since I found out she was a cheater, I haven't thought about getting back with her for a second. But you know, we were childhood sweethearts. We were together for so long. It's hard to picture myself with anyone else right now. Arthur's tone suddenly shifted. Although, some of these younger women around here aren't bad. Maybe I could give that a try. Hearing him say that, my eyes lit up. It seems it's true what they say. Men are boys at heart. Always a soft spot for younger women, no matter their age. That, I could work with. I snapped my fingers. I heard that club down the road just hired a bunch of new girls. All different types, some even do cosplay. Why don't we go check it out tonight? My father-in-law and I were instantly on the same page. We decided to go that very night. After the shoot, the makeup artist took a couple of extra photos of me, gushing, "You're the most charismatic warrior I've ever worked on. Can I post this on TikTok?" I quickly said, "Just my side profile, please. No full-face shots." "No problem." She posted the side profile shot to her TikTok to promote her work. I didn't think much of it. That evening, I grabbed Arthur, we changed our clothes, and headed straight for the club. Even though Arthur was pushing 50, he lived a life of leisure and didn't look his age at all. Under the dim lights, we sat on a plush sofa as the manager expertly brought out a line of women for us to choose from. I pulled out 2 thick wads of cash and tossed them on the table. "Bring us your best. Don't waste our time with the B team." The manager scrambled to pull a few of the newer girls to the front. I clicked my tongue. "Is that it? I heard you had a couple of real knockouts tonight." Arthur casually spun the diamond watch on his wrist, and the manager's eyes lit up. "Of course, sir. They'll be right out." I nodded. We waited and waited, but no one appeared. I sighed. Looks like this place is all hype. The quality is pretty inconsistent. Just as I said that, two women walked in. Their silhouettes seemed familiar, but they were wearing masks. Their figures, however, were incredible. They made a simple, low-cut dress look like couture. My eyes widened, and I sat up straight. Mr. Miller, these are the jewels of our establishment. I waved him away, and the manager took the hint and left. They walked in, looked at Arthur and me, and the corners of their mouths curled into smiles. I suddenly felt a chill run down my spine. Something was very wrong. My heart skipped a beat. Dad, I whispered, don't they seem a little off to you? They have great figures, Daniel, but I can't shake the feeling that they look familiar. One of the women stepped forward and pulled me into her embrace. The familiar scent of cedarwood made my heart stop. Daniel, are you satisfied with what you see? That familiar voice made my head spin. I was screwed. With a trembling hand, I reached up and removed her mask. A pair of sharp, almond-shaped eyes stared back at me, and the room started to spin. Well, Daniel, bringing my father all the way out here to party. Have you had your fun yet? On the other side, Catherine had also removed her mask. She stared at Arthur's triumphant grin, and her expression grew dark. Arthur Hayes, you have some explaining to do. At that, Arthur's eyes rolled back into his head, and he collapsed in a dramatic faint. I wanted to faint too, but the next second Sarah grabbed my wrist, cupped the back of my head, and kissed me hard. I shoved her away, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand, my face grim. Don't touch me. Isn't Leo Vance keeping you company? What are you doing here, playing the loving wife? Who are you trying to fool? Sarah stared at me for a long moment, then laughed. There is no Leo. Don't try to fool me. I saw it all. The reporters caught it on camera. How long are you going to keep lying? Hearing this, she couldn't help but smile. What's this? Are you jealous? Jealous my ass. Get away from me. Nearby, Catherine pulled Arthur to his feet. Sarah, handle your man. We'll deal with our own business. With that, she supported Arthur and strode out of the club. I tried to follow them, but Sarah blocked my path, slinging an arm around my shoulder and forcibly leading me out. The club owner started to approach, but one icy glare from her sent him retreating. Sarah dragged me back to the inn. I struggled against her grip. The guests are here. Let go of me. I am the guest. I made the reservation. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. I never would have guessed it was her. I should have known. Who else would be so extravagant as to book the entire place for a month? Sarah pushed me into our cottage and stood there with her hands on her hips. I had to admit, the woman was stunning. Her curves were distracting. I'd seen beautiful women every day for months and thought I was immune, but I couldn't help but stare at Sarah. What do you want? I should be asking you that. Faking your death, and not just your own, but dragging my father into your nonsense. Daniel Miller, you've got a lot of nerve. I sneered. You drove me to it. You bought Leo Vance a building. What right does a cheating wife have to question me? I stood up to leave, but she shoved me back onto the bed, pinning my wrists above my head. Daniel, nothing happened. It's not what you think between me and Leo. Stop lying to me. You knew he was the reason I went into the ocean, and you still bailed him out. You said it was nothing. You're just a heartless user. I kicked her shin, and she grunted in pain. I used the moment to throw her off and stormed out the door, only to be blocked by a bodyguard. Sir, Ms. Walton has instructed that you are not to leave the premises. I turned and shot a furious glare back at Sarah, who had followed me out. You're not going anywhere. If you even try to leave, I'll make sure your family regrets it. Not even my own family knew where I was. I hadn't dared to contact them. Now Sarah was using them to threaten me. I clenched my fists. Don't look at me like that. All I know is that for what you and my father did, there will be consequences. Sarah, you wouldn't dare. I'll kill you. I was seething with helpless rage, but she was completely unmoved. Sarah beckoned to me with a finger. Come on, let's talk. I took a deep breath. Fine, let's talk. I'm not afraid of you. I just wondered how Arthur was holding up. I glanced toward the other cottage, where I could hear raised voices. Sarah covered my eyes with her hand. Don't worry about them. My mother would never truly hurt my father. I slapped her hand away, my face contorted with disgust. You and your mother are two peas in a pod. The older one has a boy toy and a secret love child, and the younger one buys her boy toy a whole building. Don't you get it, Sarah? Your position isn't secure. Your mother's other child is going to come back and fight you for the inheritance. Sarah looked at me, completely bewildered. A love child fighting for the inheritance. Daniel, have you been reading too many soap opera scripts? What has my father been teaching you? And to think you went to an Ivy League school. I shot her a dirty look. This is all stuff you and your mother did. How dare you blame me? Daniel, you really need to get your head checked. My mother does not have a secret son, and my relationship with Leo is not what you think it is. Like hell I believe you. Right? Keep denying it. Even the reporters could see what was going on. I'll ask you this. Why did you bail him out when you knew he was responsible for me and Arthur going overboard? And that building, didn't you buy it for him? Answer me. Yes or no? Sarah sighed in resignation. Yes. Then that settles it. I threw my hands up. In that case, we should just get a divorce. Divorce? Are you serious? Of course I'm serious. I don't want to be with you anymore. I told you when we got married. I was fine marrying into your family, but I needed a wife who was completely devoted to me, not one who fools around on the side. There's no room for a third person in our marriage. Sarah looked at me strangely. Leo is just a new actor signed to my production company. I put him in shows to make money for the company. He has the right to use that building, but he doesn't own it. In fact, the property is in your name. I was stunned, afraid I wouldn't believe her. Sarah pulled out her phone and showed me the documents. The building was purchased in your name. I told Leo he could live there for as long as he needed for work. Do you understand? No, I don't understand. All I know is that you doted on him in public, and you let everyone think he was your man. I glared at her. Let's just get a divorce and go our separate ways. Then it won't be my business who you decide to keep. Just as I finished speaking, a roar erupted from the other cottage. It was Arthur. Stop lying to me. That man practically brought the child right to my doorstep. Catherine, we've been together since we were kids. I've supported you through everything. And this is how you repay me? The boy is 16 years old. How long were you going to lie to me? The door slammed open with a bang and Arthur stormed out. He saw me, his eyes filled with tears, and grabbed my hand. Let's go? Ignore them. Kick them out of here. I hesitated. But Dad, they're the guests who booked the inn for a month. What? Arthur was stunned. He couldn't believe it was them. What rotten luck, he muttered. Refund their money and tell them to leave. Catherine came out of the cottage. We don't want the money. Arthur, please, just let me explain. I'm not listening. We're getting a divorce. Daniel, call a lawyer. If they won't agree to our terms, we'll sue. Arthur and I exchanged a look. We were both ready. This had to end. Hearing this, my mother-in-law clutched her chest, her face turning pale. Arthur, you don't believe me? I'm with you constantly. When would I have had time to have a child? She looked like she was about to collapse, but Arthur was unmoved. Stop pretending. I'm telling you. Before he could finish, Catherine collapsed to the ground with a thud. Arthur immediately panicked. Catherine, wake up. Sarah, you idiot. What are you standing there for? Your mother fainted. Call an ambulance. Sarah rushed to her side, and we hurried her to the hospital. I went along. Arthur paced anxiously in the waiting room. Watching him, I couldn't help but say, Dad, it seems you do still care about her. Who says? I'm just worried that if she dies here, it'll be bad for business. He had a point. I nodded in agreement. If someone died at our inn, we'd be ruined. Seeing him being so stubborn, I couldn't help but sigh. Sarah stood nearby and said grimly, I don't know where you two get your information, but you're determined to believe the worst, aren't you? Stop helping her lie to me. The man's name is Jennings, and his son is 16. He's the spitting image of your mother. You brat. I can't believe you're my daughter, siding with your mother like this. Arthur shot her a venomous look. Sarah was about to reply when Catherine stirred in the hospital bed. She reached out and grabbed Arthur's hand. Arthur, don't leave me. Arthur looked annoyed, but the doctor interjected. The patient can't handle any stress right now. Any emotional distress could cause a cerebral hemorrhage. It would be best if a family member stayed with her. Hearing that, Arthur reluctantly agreed to stay. He turned to me. Daniel, you go get some rest. Dad, I'll be in the room next door. Call me if you need anything. I couldn't leave Arthur there alone. I went to the adjacent waiting room, where it was just me and Sarah. She was about to say something when her phone rang. Sarah impatiently declined the call, but I clearly saw the name Leo Vance on the screen. Go on, answer it. You wouldn't want him to be sad. Sarah hesitated, but the phone kept ringing. With no other choice, she answered. As soon as she did, the color drained from her face. What did you say? I scoffed. What a great actress. I shook my head without a word and walked to the window, staring out at the distant city lights flickering under the dark sky. I could hear muffled voices from the next room. It sounded like Catherine was trying to explain something to Arthur. I had no idea if they would reconcile, but I knew it was over for Sarah and me. Daniel, wait for me here. Something's come up. I'll be right back. With that, she rushed out, leaving a bodyguard behind. I let out a cold laugh as my heart sank. I opened my phone to find a new iMessage. It was from Leo. Mr. Miller, it's not what you think between me and Sarah. Please don't misunderstand. Reading his two-faced message, a thought struck me. How did he know I was alive? How did he even get my new number? Just then, I heard a low male voice from the hallway. Mr. Hayes, please don't hold this against me. I know you're upset, but I truly didn't mean any harm. He's a Walton too. Kyle, get on your knees and apologize to your uncle. I heard a thud, followed by Arthur's furious voice. Who are you calling uncle, you bastard? I rushed out to see a mild-mannered man and a teenage boy kneeling in front of Arthur, whose eyes were bloodshot with rage. I immediately pushed them back. Are you crazy? Coming here to stake your claim. I pointed at the bodyguard. Get them out of here. The boy behind him stepped forward. What are you doing? Don't you dare bully my dad. Your dad started it by bullying mine. We squared off like two fighting roosters. Mark Jennings looked uncomfortable. I just came to see how she was. I didn't mean anything else by it. You're disturbing my father-in-law and his wife. Please leave right now. Seeing how furious I was, the two of them stepped aside but didn't leave, just lingered by the doorway. Just then, Catherine's voice came from the room. Let them in. I was furious, but Arthur calmly patted my hand and went back to looking at his phone, texting someone. After Mark Jennings went inside, we couldn't hear what was said, but soon we heard the sound of crying. Arthur and I exchanged a confused look. Arthur snorted. So dramatic. I nodded in agreement, and then my thoughts turned back to Sarah. Oh, Dad, I think Leo Vance knows I'm alive. He just sent me a message. I handed him my phone. Arthur stared at it, stunned. Just as he was about to speak, the door to the hospital room opened. Arthur, Daniel, both of you come in here. Arthur and I went inside. Catherine was propped up in bed. Let me introduce you. This is Mark Jennings. I know who he is. You don't need to introduce us. And that's your secret son, right? You've misunderstood. Mark Jennings spoke up. The boy is a Walton, but he's not Catherine's. He's Rebecca's. What are you talking about? She died years ago. As realization dawned on Arthur's face, Catherine explained. She left behind a child. Mark gave a bitter smile. I've been raising him out in the country, but we just can't make ends meet anymore. That's why I came looking for the Waltons. He's a brilliant student, but staying with me is holding him back. Mark pleaded. I know this is a misunderstanding, but I'm out of options. Mr. Hayes, I'm begging you, please take Kyle in. Dad, I'd rather be poor with you than go anywhere else. I'm not leaving, Kyle said, his voice thick with emotion. The boy was incredibly stubborn. I then noticed the boy was still in his school uniform. I couldn't believe he was Sarah's cousin. Why hadn't Catherine explained this earlier? Catherine sighed. I'd only met with Mark twice. I had just transferred him some money when your father-in-law found out and refused to listen to reason. I was planning to explain everything at the birthday party, but then, when I found you both, he still wouldn't listen. So I decided to bring them here to explain it to you face to face. Here's the paternity test. Rebecca had it done before she passed away. So that was it. And all this time, Arthur thought Mark was her lover. This was a mess. I was speechless. Catherine looked at me. Daniel, please take them outside for a moment. Arthur, you stay. I need to speak with you. Arthur looked uneasy. I patted his shoulder. Just say what's on your mind. I've got your back. Arthur nodded, and I led Mark and Kyle out of the room. Once outside, I felt a bit embarrassed. Hey, I'm really sorry about that. It was a huge misunderstanding. It's all right, Mark said. I was foolish. I should have contacted Mr. Hayes directly. Kyle looks so much like his mother. It's no wonder he misunderstood. But what's going on with you and Sarah? She doesn't seem like the type to be reckless. Just thinking about Sarah made me angry. She still wasn't back. Let me get you two settled in a hotel for the night. It's late. We can sort everything else out tomorrow. Mark nodded, and I took them to a nearby hotel and got them checked in. Afterwards, I tried calling Sarah, but it was Leo Vance who answered the phone. Where's Sarah? Mr. Miller, Sarah's in the shower. Maybe you can call back later. Then he hung up. I clenched my fists so hard my knuckles turned white. Damn him. How dare he lie to me? I was grinding my teeth in fury, wanting nothing more than to confront her right then and there. But why should I let her lead me around by the nose? I called the bodyguard over. Find Sarah. If you can't find her, you're all fired. The bodyguard didn't dare hesitate and left immediately. I also contacted my lawyer and had him confirm whether the building in Los Angeles was in my name. If it was, I told him to inform Leo Vance to get out immediately. Why should another man be living in my property? The lawyer was fast. He quickly confirmed the property was in my name. That settled it. Leo could pack his bags. My actions immediately set Leo off. He called me instantly. Daniel, what is the meaning of this? Are you trying to ruin me? Isn't this what you wanted? You tried to steal my wife. You should have been prepared for the consequences. You have one day. Get out of my house. I hung up and immediately blocked his number. Now he was the one who should be panicking. I wasn't worried. An hour later, the bodyguards returned with Sarah. Her face was flushed, and she clung to me, murmuring, Daniel, I only want Daniel. Sir, one of the guards said, Ms. Walton was drugged. When we found her, Leo Vance was taking her clothes off and trying to take pictures. Hearing this, I flew into a rage. Where is he? We brought him with us. With a thud, Leo was forced to his knees in front of me. His hair was a mess, and there was a fresh handprint on his cheek. He looked pathetic. He gritted his teeth. I was so close. You're a lucky man, Daniel. Even drugged out of her mind, she was still calling for you. I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Who the hell do you think you are, messing with my wife? Make sure he's out of that house and blacklist him. I want his career to be over. The bodyguards nodded and dragged Leo away. I took Sarah to a private room where a doctor examined her and put her on N4. She would be fine once the drugs wore off. I was about to leave when Sarah grabbed my hand. Daniel, don't go. It's all my fault. Please don't leave me. She was half asleep, but she was still apologizing. Looking at her flushed face, I sighed and patted her hand. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going. Sarah held my hand in a death grip. I stayed with her until late into the night, when I finally couldn't keep my eyes open any longer and fell asleep. In my sleep, I felt a chill and instinctively moved closer to the source of warmth beside me. When I woke up, I heard a woman's laugh from above me. Daniel, I knew you couldn't bear to leave me. I immediately let go, my face flushing, and tried to get up, but she held me tight. Honey, I know you still love me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come to save me. You're so good to me. I took a deep breath, at a loss for words. How did Leo manage to drug you? You must have given him the opportunity. I swear, honey. Leo called me and said he had pictures of you. He tried to blackmail me for $2 million. I had no choice but to go meet him. I never thought it was a trap. Sarah kissed my forehead. Thank goodness for you, honey. You're the best. As for Leo, I won't let him get away with this. Hearing this, I asked, I thought he was just a cash cow for your company. Did love turn to hate? I never loved him. He used to be involved with Ms. Reynolds from Apex Tech. I only tolerated him out of respect for her. Now that he's tried to pull this on me, he expects me to be nice? Not a chance. Good. I already had him thrown out of the house. Sarah hugged me tightly. Good job, honey. I patted her cheek. Okay, let go. People are watching. By the way, it turns out Kyle is Aunt Rebecca's son. Sarah was stunned for a moment. Then it clicked. Kyle? Mark Jennings' son? So that's it. I knew my mother would never do something like that. Daniel, you can never scare me like that again. You have no idea. My mother and I almost killed ourselves. I didn't say anything. She buried her head in my chest, and I sighed, wrapping my arms around her in resignation. After Sarah recovered, Arthur and Catherine also made up. We brought Mark and his son back with us. I have no idea how they found out, but a horde of reporters was waiting for us. Looking at the crowd outside, I whispered to Sarah, how did Leo know where I was? And how did you find me? Honey, that fantasy warrior photo of you went viral on TikTok. Everyone saw it. Leo got here before I did. He was taking pictures of you. So of course he knew where you were. So that's what happened. The makeup artist posted my picture, and I hadn't even noticed. Sarah saw it and tracked me down. But now, with this media circus, I had no idea what to do. Sarah held my hand, and Catherine stood protectively by Arthur's side. The official story was that Arthur and I had miraculously survived and had spent the last 6 months recovering in private. When my warrior photo surfaced online, people figured out I'd been running an inn in Napa Valley. Recuperating? More like a vacation. I bet there was a marriage crisis. What about Leo Vance? I heard he got kicked out. So the wife won. Fun fact, Leo Vance was the boy toy of Ms. Reynolds at Apex Tech. After Walton Corp acquired Apex, Leo lost his value and got kicked to the curb. Business wars in movies, epic stock market battles. Business wars in real life. The sons-in-law faked their deaths by jumping off a yacht. Reading these comments on Twitter was a bit embarrassing. The whole affair had definitely had an impact on the Walton family's reputation. But Catherine and Sarah were ruthless. Very quickly, all those rumors vanished from the internet. Arthur and I were having tea in the garden when he handed me a credit card. Dad, what's this for? I didn't spend it all, so you can have it. I'll just ask her for more later. Your mother-in-law gets so upset if I don't spend her money. She thinks I'm planning to run away again. He was shoving their happiness right in my face. I sighed and took the card. Daniel, a man has to keep his wife on her toes to maintain his position. What do you say we go check out that club again tonight? I was taken aback for a second, but then he gave me a sly wink, and I burst out laughing. All right, you're on. I gave him an okay sign. The two of us had a deal. That evening, Arthur managed to convince Catherine to attend some gala. I sent Sarah along to keep her mother company, telling her to keep a close eye out for any unwanted suitors. Meanwhile, Arthur and I snuck out to the club. I had to admit, the clubs in Los Angeles were on another level compared to what we had in Napa, both in quality and quantity. I watched the dancers on stage, their bodies moving sensuously. The air was thick with pheromones. One of them even came right up to me and invited me to touch her slender waist. My face turned bright red. Arthur was laughing his head off beside me. Don't be shy. You paid for the ticket. Might as well enjoy the show. As I reached out my hand, another hand shot out of nowhere and clamped down on my wrist. Honey, I froze. A second later, I saw Catherine pull Arthur into an embrace. What's this? Couldn't get enough of a show at home. So you had to come all the way out here? Let me explain. I squinted at Sarah, confused. Weren't you supposed to be at a gala? I was, but then I happened to see a certain someone's location pop up right here. I knew you two had snuck off to look at other women. Hearing that, I just laughed nervously. Sarah raised an eyebrow, grabbed my arm, and dragged me out of there. Arthur was being held fast by Catherine right behind us. We exchanged a look of despair. There was no escape. We had to go. When we got home, I was still fuming about the cover charge. We were only in there for 2 minutes before getting dragged out. Seeing my expression, Sarah frowned. What's wrong? Missing the show? I flinched. Of course not. Why would I? Good. In that case, I've decided on a little punishment for you. One that will make sure you have no time to think about other women. I felt a pang of guilt and tried to explain, but she silenced me with a kiss. All night long, Sarah took the lead, leaving my back aching by morning. A year later, she gave birth to our child. I was leaning against the headboard, watching Sarah rock our baby to sleep, and a wave of warmth washed over me. Honey, for the baby's 100-day celebration, I have a gift for you. I was about to refuse, but then she handed me a contract. This production company is in your name now. I've signed a lot of beautiful young actresses. You can look all you want, but no touching. I love you so much, honey. I jumped on her and showered her with kisses, and she laughed.